yeah. I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me, you ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes, call me aggressive with my flow. Call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love. Still gonna die for what I love. Still gonna try, I won't give up. Still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret. Cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no. Some injuries, mentally and physically. Studied them religiously so I don't repeat history. And people won't admit to me they don't want a victory bad enough to get a C. They'd rather just go leave it be. And oh, this journey I've been on since 13, working hard and learning, never stopping searching. Yeah, it's burning, all this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words. No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret. Cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in on this awesome Sunday evening. I am super blessed because I have two amazing individuals, Aaron Michael Ritchey and Nathan Ameye. What's going on, you guys?
Hey, man. Just hanging out.
Well, thanks for tuning in because, Nathan, I think you've been just traveling all over the world here. It's always seeming like you're flying somewhere on some adventure.
Yeah, I try. Like, what's life without a little bit of travel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So are you carrying the Lord Major BJ t-shirt on all these adventures and taking
Not every
photos?
adventure. However, he's due for another little road trip, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. I have hit that face on like one of those sticks that you can hold up. And I had it mounted in my apartment here, and someone came over to hang out and they're like, "What the hell is that?" I was like, just let it be. Don't worry about it.
Don't know a Major BJ when they see one? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So, Aaron, how about yourself, sir? You've been also traveling around doing some stuff. You're up in the Pacific Northwest and going all over.
All the time, everywhere, all day long. The mysterious hallway. I kind of like it. The books and everything kind of disappearing out into the darkness. Yeah, man, I've been like everywhere. I've been like, it's been crazy. It's good to be home. I'm home in the summer, releasing some books, working on some stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we can just jump right into it. We're here to talk about Audit Team 6. And let's go ahead and just bring this bad boy up because it is a beautiful book.
It's a good cover.
So pretty. Almost as pretty as Aaron Michael Ritchey.
Almost.
So, you guys, I remember you talking about this story quite a while ago. You were talking about this thing basically a year ago when we were at Dragon Con hanging out. So let's just go ahead. When did you guys start this project? What was the inspiration for it?
It was actually at a writing retreat for Shadow Alley Press before Dragon Con. where we were sitting out on the deck. That's like this cabin in the woods kind of thing, as creepy as that sounds. And I had this.
I am literally picturing this, and it's just
My
getting worse
hallway.
and worse, and yet I
Yeah.
want it more and more.
So Aaron and I are sitting out on this, the little picnic table on the deck after dinner, having a couple of beers. And I think I started it because I had this idea before I came to the retreat, but Aaron was one of the people I wanted to kick the idea around with. So I had all these goofy characters, and I was like, what about the bureaucracy behind dungeons? Like Dungeon Core is like, oh yeah, awesome. But what about the damn red tape? Where's that shit come in? I mean, you can't just let unregulated dungeon cores go crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just gonna fuck up. So I started thinking about this dungeon accountant character and like who would be the perfect team around a dungeon accountant. Like, what else would you have to do? Like, what about demo day? Like, so how about an interior decorator who likes smashing shit? And so we started, like, I kind of brought up some of those ideas, and Aaron just like took off with it. I don't remember, Aaron, like, I think Kronk was yours.
No. All of these characters were yours.
So
and they were so good. They were so good.
We just kept refining them. Gwen,
Yeah.
the snarky. I'm not a rogue. I'm an engineer, structural engineer. Just so happens that I'm good at rogue shit, but really it's because of my structural engineering talents. All that kind of fun stuff.
You can't design your safe correctly. I'm doing you a favor by taking all your gold, okay?
Totally a white hat hacker, right? I'm doing this for your own good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally picturing like the cover in an animation, cartoon format,
Yeah.
but it's literally home makeover of like, oh no, we're gonna knock this wall out here. Where's the traps? Someone put the traps in here.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. More sharper pungy sticks. What is it? Is that a poogie stick? What is this word? It's a poogie stick. I'm pretty sure.
This is never going to pierce armor.
Yeah, you have to have sharper poogie sticks.
It was really funny talking about like what are the important elements of a dungeon that you would actually go in and criticize. Mm-hmm. And like it's pretty the efficiency element of it, like what's the mana use or pathos use, and what are the effectiveness of the traps and all that kind of crap. But you have to balance like who wants to come into a dungeon and how hard it is to actually beat the dungeon. Because if you're too hard and you don't have the right lures, then obviously the balance gets off and the dungeon gets smashed, or the dungeoneers get smashed and nobody comes to the dungeon anymore. So like you start thinking about how difficult it actually is to get a dungeon ecology and economy working correctly. And you're like, well, shit, this team kind of actually makes sense. Like, why would we have consultants doing this?
Yeah.
It would be awesome.
So go ahead, TJ.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm really curious about, Nathan, because when I was out in Arizona for about 2 months, I was an account manager for multiple businesses. It could have been a school. I had like trucking industries. And so I had to contract the janitorial services. If they wanted the parking lot resurfaced, painting, anything, I had to program all that stuff. So, I mean, like, how long did you really just kind of sit there and think like, okay, I need someone who can do this, this, this. And I mean, that just seems like a lot of planning you really threw into this project.
I mean, the weird thing is it didn't take that long. Like you watch 1 or 2 HGTV shows and do a little software consulting, you're done. Like, okay, these are the people. And, I wanted it to be a team story, and Aaron really brought that to it as well. I think like we didn't want it to be a solo character. We wanted it to be a team. And when you think about a dungeon party, I mean, you can think of it from a classic raider perspective, right? Tank and DPS and healer or whatever. But so you just switch all that to, what is it like a small team of auditors going to look like? You got the numbers person and the interior aesthetic, the trap effectiveness. Like this team just sort of magically popped into mind. And then we just kind of needed a plot and a world to put it in.
Okay.
And that's what we kicked around for hours, I think, that night.
Nice.
And so because we were thinking about doing dungeon flipping Like you go in, you make a dungeon, and then you sell it. So that was one of the ideas. And then, but when I was writing so many books, and I was like, I can't load another world in my head. So I was like, so then when I was thinking about like, well, if we're doing a funny book, we should put it in the Shadowcroft universe, because me and James A. Hunter wrote the Shadowcroft Academy for Dungeons. And a little bit of the world building was there's the Tree of Souls, and all worlds are connected to the Tree of Souls at what's known as celestial nodes. And so that's how the world gets all of the apothos, which is the mana, which is the life-giving energy. So as long as the world is connected to the tree, it's getting the energy. But that's where the huge pockets of energies. So there's a cultivation aspect to the novel. So Dungeoneers go into these places to cultivate and steal all the energy, which destroys the node, which then weakens the world. And if a world loses all of its dungeons, all of its celestial nodes, then it dies. And so the dungeons in our world, the dungeons are the good guys because they're protecting the celestial nodes. And the Dungeoneers are the evil assholes who are coming in to destroy the nodes and like justifying it the whole time. And it's like saying, well, you know, and there's a lot of worlds in the multiverse. You know, what's one world or two?
Yeah,
right?
Survival of the fittest, right?
That's right.
This world was too weak. I killed it, so it can't be that big a deal.
And they want you to think the worlds die if the nodes go, but the world's fine.
It's just a conspiracy theory.
All these evil dungeons, they're the problem. So yeah, so then when I was like, okay, so we have this kind of, you know, dungeon HGTV idea. Let's put it in the Shadowcroft universe. So like souls go, they become a dungeon, they go to the academy to learn how to become a good dungeon, and then they're giving a dungeon of their own on a world. And then the Department of Universal Dungeon Efficiency, the acronym is DUDE, D-U-D-E. They send out auditors to help people because these are the fate of worlds. And so they go in and they're like, okay, you have a great dungeon, but we need to make it as powerful as we can to destroy the Dungeoneers. And so the world is saved. And so that's, you know, so Cal and his team, and Cal is such a sweetie. He's a spreadsheet wizard. He loves data. And so they're former Dungeoneers. And that's what I thought was going to be super interesting, is we get to explore the Shadowcroft universe, not from the point of view of dungeons, but from the point of view of Dungeoneers. And so we get the, you know, the guilds and the justifications and the douchebags and right. So that's kind of the whole thing.
The other audit teams are not super friendly with our guys, right? So
because they're dungeons.
Because they're actual dungeon cores, because there's this huge dungeon core bureaucracy, right? But these are converted Dungeoneers. They've seen the light. They believe in the Tree of Souls. They know what other Dungeoneers are doing is wrong, and they want to help. But they're not like badass fighters.
So I guess from what it sounds like, you know, Nathan, you had this great idea, and you're really excited. You got that moment of inspiration, motivation. You're like, yeah, I really want to dive into this. And you bring it to Aaron. And Aaron, it sounds like you were like, oh, I got a lot of stuff. You know, how do I cram this in or fit this into the writing schedule? So then how did you guys have to balance out a writing schedule so it worked for both of you guys so that you're on the same page and you're able to progress at the rate that you guys really wanted to?
Oh, don't ask Aaron that, because I'm the slowest author in the world and he's the fastest author in the world.
Well, so we talked about it at Dragon Con. Or no, we talked about it at Shadow Alley Press, and I was wearing my Shadow Alley Press t-shirt.
Nice.
Which is really funny. If you had just kept that on, Aaron, we would have all matched. We're all wearing black.
Well, and I was like, so part of me was like, I should have just kept it on.
Nerd.
No, so actually, I was digging for my Fae Nexus T-shirt and I couldn't find it. I was gonna wear Nathan's.
What do I need? Like an American Dragon shirt or something?
Dude, I need to make it. No, we don't talk about. We do not talk
so
about.
Shiny though. It's so.
We don't
shiny.
talk about the other thing, the other guy. We don't. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
How about a Shadowcroft shirt? Let's get some.
Shadowcroft shirt. No, so we were in Spain because we went to a 20 books 50K event in Spain, and so we rented a house with James, and so Nathan and I talked, and we're like, I'm super fast, Nathan is not super fast.
No.
But Nathan is the best idea guy. So Nathan is a total idea guy. So I'm like, if we can marry the idea guy to the fast guy, we can create magic. So so Nathan and I, we did an outline together, and so we did so we had plot points we definitely wanted to hit. We talked about a little character arc stuff. We talked about like villains and the whole thing. And then once we're on the same page with the outline, I wrote the first draft as fast as humanly possible, and then I gave it to Nathan. Nathan did the editing. So, and then added stuff, took stuff out, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like going from the drag strip to like a lawnmower race. Aaron cranks this stuff out.
No, the problem is he has to deal with my iffy prose. And so it's like Nathan's like going, oh my God. I leave words out. I use the wrong word. I use the wrong name. It's like, it's madness. So poor Nathan had to like
is the goat male or female? Like,
is the new, that was a thing. I think right? Is it goat male or female?
It's funny because I even was writing earlier today, and I was like, wait, what color was the guy's eyes, or what was he wearing?
Oh,
I don't know. I was just like, oh, hey, he showed up, and this was really great. I'm like, I should probably describe him more.
Yeah, World Bible. So now when I do books, I have like characters, character eye color, character like just like boom, 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 boom. Dude, I can't get my hands.
We have some giant like Google Docs full of notes and stuff like that, but still, it's hard to catch everything. There's no way.
Well, that's where, I mean, I had started with the World Bible because this is very much a slice of life. There's a ton of characters and there's a ton of stuff that's being built for book 2 and 3. And what I hated was having to work a 9 to 5. I didn't want to spend 30 minutes to an hour making sure my World Bible's good to go. I was like, nope, I just got to get in and write my words for the day. Yep. So,
and I would do that too. I wouldn't start with the World Bible. I would make the World Bible as I went, especially with Slice of Life. So I wrote Dark Lord's Diner, some railroad. But I would do like, we're talking with the strangely handsome priest. And I would like type in and like, okay, priest Fabrizio. So I would type in like Fabrizio, strangely handsome, and then like his quirks and like this is how he sounds and this is dialogue, like his dialogue, the way his dialogue sounds. So I would build the World Bible as I went in the rough draft, and then in the first draft, I try to like make everything kind of smooth it out. But even then, I missed a bunch of stuff that Nathan caught. So that was kind of a writing process.
Yeah, I think we went through Shadowcroft also, and I plucked out like all the system notes and the rankings, and because I was like, I love Shadowcroft and I read it all, but I hadn't memorized like the whole system. It'd been a little while, so we shoved all that crap in some Google Docs and started making notes about, well, how the hell? Because you see more of the dungeon core side in Shadowcroft, and now we're talking about Dungeoneers, and Dungeoneers. They cultivate by killing dungeons, but our heroes are Dungeoneers who don't kill dungeons. So what the hell happens?
Right.
Well, that's one of the secrets in the book is you get to kind of figure out how this whole thing comes together in a new way, which is cool. And it was actually kind of a light bulb moment, I think, for both of us when we figured out like, oh, yeah, there's some games we can play here, which is great.
Well, I just think that says a lot about you, where you have this idea, you're now partnering up, but that partnership is requiring you to read an entirely different book series that is then going to be incorporated into your series as well.
Luckily, the two fit, I think, really well, and I had already read all of Shadowcroft anyway because I thought it was a hoot.
Nathan reads all of the books. If there's a book, he's read it. He's read.
That's what I've heard.
Books. Oh yeah,
working on it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what was probably one of the hardest things, and granted, sometimes writing isn't that hard, but did you have any type of hardships or anything that really, kind of caught you up in the process that you had to work through?
Mostly just me being slow. I mean, no. So like Cal, I think has shifted personality here and there a little bit. So from being super self-deprecating to being less self-deprecating and more confident. And that actually, I think we ended up with a fun, healthy balance of those two things, because we made him super, like, almost cringy in some spots. And I don't know, I think wrestling with his personality was great. And Gwen too, like, she's super snarky, but she, like, finding the line between snarky and bitchy and totally unlikable was a tricky thing to figure out dialogue wise and things like that. That's always, like, snarky characters are super fun, right? But I think they showing their heart of gold underneath the snark it takes some work, at least for me. I don't write it the first time right at all. And so it took some for me. I go back, and that's why I'm slow, because I loop back over things a few times at least.
Gotcha.
It was fun, and we completely revamped the final dungeon. I mean, we were looking for a way. So during the outlining process and some of the drafting, I think that's when, Aaron, we started looking at the final dungeon and going, we kind of want something whole and new.
Yeah.
And just blew the whole thing back in as a new dungeon. And then justifying that
Captains
up front, that was a wild process.
What was the name? Is it It's Captains. I have to look it up. Hold on.
Which one?
The in book 1, the
Scuzzwater Depths.
The Scuzzwater Depths, but what's the Captain Jack?
Oh, King.
Was it Captain Jack?
Oh, Whoopi Jack. We had Whoopi Jack.
Whoopi Jack. Yeah, that's right. Oh, dude, that's so fun. Oh my god, that's awesome.
And I was like, I mean, I think I started sending you pictures of water parks and said, imagine a muck lord in charge of a water park, and then Aaron just took off. Like, oh yeah.
Well, dude, I love water parks, and having a water park dungeon, like, was just so much fun. The tricky. What's interesting is I was staying at a friend's house, and he had, like, old D&D modules, and I found myself reading the old D&D modules, and just like, and it was so much fun. And I'm like, man, we're doing a dungeon core novel where a guy is basically creating a D&D dungeon module. So we gave him this ability to kind of analyze dungeons and, like, sections of dungeons. And so we get the description, and the description gets kind of snarky, and there's a reason for that. And of course, Dungeon Crawler Carl, the foot fetish AI. So that was really fun, but it's the level of detail, like like in the second book is on pre-order now. The Omega Audit. It's about a world that is actually got hit by an apocalypse, right? They lost the heart dungeon and the whole world is dying. And so the Department of Dungeon Efficiency sent in auditors to do a last audit to see what went wrong and how they can prevent this from happening again. Yay, Mimi Miriam Dry Bones. And the Skelikitties. And we're going to name, I haven't talked to Nathan about this, but Ritchey, I was going to name one of them Jinx, and then one of them, I was going to name some of the Skelikitties after Ritchey Stevens' cats. But in that book, we did 10 levels. And it was too many. It was too many levels. And so when Nathan did the edit, he took out, he really condensed it and, like, combined it so it wasn't 10 levels. So that was the tricky part, is, like, when is too much? When is it too dungeony? You have to have the right level of dungeony in your dungeon core novel.
For book 2, we started with the idea of it kind of being Mayan influenced, but with some cliff dwelling societies as also influences in it. And so this vertical cliff dwelling city turned into a dungeon was the start of it, which gave us all these levels. And it was a cool visual, but it's really hard to convey in prose.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it got too confusing, like, oh, they went down another freaking ladder, and then it collapsed and they died, blah, blah, blah. So condensing all of that took some time, but you wanted to keep all the good bits, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, how do I keep the mud pits and the Skelikitties and the, like, I don't want to give away everything, but it was cool. And the Howling Chasm So you want a dungeon kind of to go underground. So this vertical cliff dwelling idea actually transformed into this deep, infinite chasm that the dungeon lord lives at the bottom of, which is interesting. And then you have crypts and stuff like that. So I don't know. In the edits, I think it really took off.
Right. And that's always, I think, the struggle for authors, right? Like, I think many of us are very visual, so we know the references of movies. And so it's like, yeah, I start out in this really big panorama, this wide shot, and instantly I'm here in this close-up. And it's like, wait a minute, how did you get there?
Yeah, camera tricks don't work the same way for authors.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You have to work at it differently, and that's part of the fun, but it's also a part of the art that's difficult.
Yeah. So now all 3 books are done. 3 books in this series?
Yeah.
Okay. So now is there another Ameye Ritchey, collaboration in the works, or?
So you mentioned the day job right before. So I had to bow out of book 3 for Dungeon Accountant. But like Aaron took these characters and just went to town with them. So book 3 is going to be phenomenal. We kicked around the ideas together and the outline together, and then some realities of life hit me sideways, and so I had to let him roll on with the trilogy. So otherwise I was going to slow things down too much. I couldn't let that happen because these books are awesome and they need to see the light of day.
The title of book 3 is, I know it's controller, but I like to say comptroller, and it's Comptroller Carnage. So it's all office-based dungeons.
Yeah, we talked about what does the bureaucracy do if it eats itself, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, inevitably, you've got red tape and like evil swing line staplers and shit like that. So
that sounds very similar. Of like somehow Discount Dan is connected to that. Because I've listened to a first couple chapters that the great James Hunter narrated himself, and I'm like, this is awesome.
You got to hear the narrated chapters? How'd you get that?
Because I'm TJ Lombardi.
Oh my God, dude! I'm so jealous. I have the shirt, and I don't even have the. I have the shirt, and I don't even have the thing.
I know, but I listened to it, and it's amazing. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, he's like on the upper level, the ground side, and you're definitely down here, and you guys are totally connected in the middle.
Oh yeah, there's a good chance if Discount Dan does well, then I'll end up writing a book in that world. No, man, it's office dungeons, because when you look into the bureaucracy, when you gaze into the bureaucracy gazes back. So,
this is bullshit. I'm gonna cut through all this red tape. Oh, are you?
Oh, are you?
Find out what
you like. We have office cubicle wall, dude, and we have a lot of creamed corn. Nathan, all the creamed corn in book 3 is me. Nathan probably would have removed the creamed corn, but there is a lot of creamed corn, and there's also a cannabis dragon, CBD dragon. Never mind. I'm gonna just that's book 3.
Giving away all the spoilers.
No, boy.
I mean, there's so much more.
Book 3 is super long, and like there was no editing me, so it is like full on Aaron Michael Ritchey. It is like it's crazy. I love it.
I'm at least grateful that I got to brainstorm that one with you, because so sweet. I love it.
God,
thanks for rocking with it, man.
Oh my God. Yes, we have print. That's funny.
Sorry, you were saying, Aaron.
No, so that's book 3. We're very excited, but book 2 is on pre-order, but book 1 is out right now. You could get this. There's puppies. What about the pup? Will no one think of the puppies? So they have to save the world of Phytotopia. So
there's a slime Cerberus. Come on.
A slime Cerberus.
What's really funny is how like my generation, we were playing video games of like trebuchets launching baby penguins and baby puppies all over the place. And now we've gone like fully on the other side of the spectrum of like, don't touch a single animal. People are fine. Just don't touch the animal.
Dude, no, for real. My daughter loves horror, right? She will watch people get butchered, like torture porn, Saw. She's like killing kids. You're like, yeah, there's enough people, babies. She doesn't care. The minute a dog is in peril, she's like, we're turning this movie off. No, I don't even care. No. And I'm like, dude, we just watched like nuns getting eviscerated. She's like, yeah, that's nuns. But what about the dog? What about the bird? We watched one movie like a bird got killed, and she's like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yep.
I mean,
so now, Nathan, this would be what, your 5th or 6th book that you've written? And I feel bad. I should probably know this answer already, but
no, I have 3 in the Fey Nexus trilogy, and this will be Dungeon Accountant is my first new series since my debut, so that'll be 5 total for me.
Okay.
6 if you count my influence on book 3, Dungeon Accountant.
Yes, absolutely. I would say so. I would say so.
I would count 6 books.
Aaron, you've already gone past the 50
This
mark.
is an unfair comparison, by the way.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to say that, but there was one question I wanted to ask Aaron that I thought about earlier today.
Yeah.
And so, and I think it's interesting too, because you actually went to college for writing.
Yeah. I mean, I got a degree in English. I didn't get an MFA, or I didn't get like a creative writing. I just got an English degree and history. But go ahead.
Okay. So I was talking to another author. This was maybe 2 years ago, and he said, there's kind of these levels that you will have in your writing career. Normally, that first level is 5 to 7 books, then maybe around your 15th book, and then about your 21st, 25th book. And so there's these different levels. Have you seen that in your writing career where you can be like, yeah, right around these points is where I really found myself growing? Or how has that writing journey been for you in that regard?
TJ?
Yeah.
When people come up like, hey, I love books and I have all these ideas and I want to be an author. Mm-hmm. Could you give me some advice? And I'm like, yeah, find somebody to punch you in the face every single day. Now that's a laugh line. You guys aren't laughing.
I was just wondering, is that why your face is like that? You've just been punching yourself.
Is that why your face is like that?
Yeah. Why did I do this to myself? Oh, the pain is so good. Oh, God.
This is what co-authoring is actually like.
No, we weren't like that. We agree. No. I mean, we're good.
It's support. It's called.
No,
support.
I mean, it's hard. Writing books is hard. I don't think there's levels. I think it's just hard, and it gets easier because you can embrace the suck. Before we started this, we were talking about, like, instead of going to college, I should have joined the military and read a bunch of genre fiction, because the most successful authors I know are former military guys who like spent their military career reading a bunch of genre fiction. So Dakota Crowd and James A. Hunter and Craig Martell and TJ Lombardi. Is like Jez how do you say his last name? Kajio? Dude, that guy, he was an underwater welder. He ran his own like restaurant. So he didn't go to the military, but he might as well have, right, man? You just if you're in this for any period of time, you just got to embrace the suck. And after a while, it doesn't suck as much. And then after a while, like now, I enjoy the writing process more than I ever have before. I was on a trip with some friends, and we were in this beautiful place, and there's a sunset over this sea, and it's like this like mountains, and it's like this total like cool setting, and I'm sitting there looking at the sunset, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool in real life, but I think I'd rather be writing it I think I'd rather be in the same place, because you can add castles.
I was about to say, like, I'm just imagining, Aaron's like, oh, this sunset would be better if it was just melting the universe into destruction right now.
Yeah. Dude. And I was like, dude, how messed up is that? You like would rather write the scene than be in the scene. But I think that's the big. So Dungeon Accountant, Out of Team 6 is my 55th published book.
Congrats, man.
So I've been published with Bain. I have like books in Barnes and Nobles. I published with Kevin G. Anderson's Wordfire Press. You know, I've a indie pub, and I have some indie pub stuff, and I have like some romance that I've written under a pen name, and then I have other books that we can't talk about that I've written under a pen name. And now I love it so much that, like, that's the biggest change. If you stick with it, like Hemingway said, well, I'm a douchebag for like referencing Hemingway, but my parents paid a lot of money for me to reference Hemingway. Hemingway says if you write long enough, you get a passion for it, you get a love for it that only death can. And it's true. Like dude, I used to hate writing. I used to hate the process, and now I'm you know, there's still parts, and you know, some days, you know, it's like cleaning a toilet. Some days writing is like cleaning a toilet. I'm like, okay, it's time to clean the toilet. And I write, and it's like, okay, I'm done. And then other days, I'm like soaring with the angels.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any levels of books, but I think if you do it long enough, you get stronger, and it becomes easier.
I think that's such a great thing to say, because, you know, there's times where I've compared writing to cooking, where, hey, you may be really good at chopping your vegetables, but you're not good at making sauces yet or whatever, and all those skills. But as you're saying that, I kind of am thinking of like when I first started to teach myself drums, and you get calluses on your fingers from the drumsticks, or if you're playing guitar and everything sounds terrible, and everyone that hears you're like, thank you for ruining my favorite song that you chose to learn on. And you're just like so defeated until your skills get to the point where it's like, dude, I can enjoy the music I'm playing with. And you just keep writing until you come to enjoy the whole process.
Yeah, I do think it's like music in some ways, right? Where you're learning the individual notes first, and then you learn the chords, and you start to put groupings of things together, and then you learn songs and realize that a 1-4-5 sounds this way, even in all the different keys. And so suddenly you're thinking in concepts that are broader.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you can match like the individual notes of each word or sentence or paragraph with the broad concepts and make it all play a song for you, right?
Yeah.
And that's all tension and release and stuff like that. And I think it does take a long time to get that kind of skill, and a lot of repetition. Like Aaron has cranked out 55 books.
No, I've written how many books?
I was going to say that sounds low to me.
No, I've written. So all books written is 76.
That's what I thought. That's the number I thought I knew.
Dear God.
So I've written 76 and published 55, because I have a bunch of books that are in the pipeline.
Like 20 something. You know, I'm not good at math, hence my dungeon fell apart. But I can at least know 20, 70 something. You know, okay.
You need an accountant.
Can help you with that.
Yeah.
No. 13 of those were like practice novels, right? And some of them, like my first novel was like this postmodern fantasy thriller with like a Shakespeare play inside of it. So it's like it's
Come
like
on.
Lord of the Rings meets David Lynch, but with like, it is
Nice. I want to see it.
It is such a douchebag.
You're a huge David Lynch fan too, right?
Oh, huge. I love David Lynch. When David Lynch dies, I'm gonna have to give up writing to make surreal cinema. Yeah. So some of those books are unpublishable. Some are really good. I think I'm gonna start publishing like one of my YA fantasies I wrote on Royal Road. Because it's really good. I mean, it's polished. Like I would spend years working on books, because I was going after trad publishing, and agents would say it needs to be perfect. So I would spend like 3 years working on the same book.
Yeah. I remember going through that.
And then they would say, no, I don't want that.
3 years of perfection. Maybe I'll take it. And maybe it'll be another 3 years before it sees the shelves.
And then you get like 8%. Yeah.
Only 8%?
Oh, if you're lucky, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Dang,
if you're
son.
lucky.
Oh yeah.
Against advances.
And
Yeah.
your advantage. Oh, it's
I went through that ringer too. The whole trad pub ringer,
Mhm.
and a whole bunch of agents were like, yeah, send me your stuff, and then the whole like contest crap. So you get really good at like the first 3 chapters, and then you suck at finishing anything, which is one of the things I'm still trying to get over.
That's like when you're at the basketball court and you're all warming up and you just hit those 2 3-point shots and they're like, I'll pick him for my team. And then you get on the team, you're like, I don't have anything else besides that, dude. Like,
oh, that
nope.
is
That's all I got, and I can't do it with somebody in my face.
oh,
Yeah, exactly.
that is so funny. That is so funny.
I mean, I tried, I think I queried maybe 10 or 20 agents, and I even paid, there was one service out of the UK where you could pay a certain amount of money and select some agents out of this list. And basically, they would review your pitch, review everything for you, and give you a guaranteed 15-minute review. And then if they liked it, they would pick it up or not. And so I sent my manuscript to one of those guys who actually said he would receive it. And he just said, I love the story. I love the world. I love everything about it. I just don't think it has commercial value. I was like, all right, well, thanks. And so after that, the same thing. I was like, you know what? Why am I wasting time with this? I'm just going to put out my books. And if they don't like it, which most people don't, I'm just going to keep doing it because I love the writing process. And I love all of those things that you do within it.
Yep. Yeah,
So
the
that's
market will tell you if you can find your market.
Yeah.
That's quick, right?
Yeah, they're also somewhere else in one of the dungeon levels we haven't excavated to you.
I just read I just listened to Todd Fonestock. He's a Colorado fantasy author who's doing well at live shows. He does a lot of cons and sells at live shows.
Mhm.
And his book Falling to Fly, it is kind of more it's really a memoir about his writing journey, and it was fascinating. I like Todd a lot, and he's found some success. And it was interesting that his experience in trad publishing was just not good, as so many are, and he wasted so much time in trad publishing.
Yep.
And like back in the day, I was like, oh, I'm not pretty enough to go to the, no one's gonna ask me to, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Because I had all near misses with agents, whatever, and I'm so glad I did not get an agent. I'm so glad I never, like, the trad publishing experience I did have, me and Dave Butler kind of did it on our own terms. And we kind of worked directly with the publisher, and Dave had an agent, I think he still had an agent. And I never did. And I'm like really thankful. I'm really thankful. And you just find your audience. And that's what, like, Todd is finding his audience, and it's it shows, and you're going to find, if you love it, there is a market for what you write.
Yeah.
So
he sells boatloads of books at cons too.
Yeah.
So that's actually probably a good lead into a question I had last week with Rachel Nee Kirk and KT Hanna. Love those ladies to death. They're amazing. And they said, I asked them what was some bad advice you've gotten, what was some good advice. And then, of course, they flipped the question onto me, which I was not prepared for. But I said, probably on the bad advice side, never let someone tell you your story isn't going to do well.
Yeah.
And if you feel compelled to tell a story, then it may not sell books, but it's going to give you skills, and it's going to help you grow more. And you can actually say, this is the story I loved, and I devoted time to writing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We learn, right, from every word we type.
Yeah.
I think we learn something. And you learn from people's reactions. You can be shocked and surprised. And I don't know, it was the weirdest thing, like having people absolutely hate Black Dawn, and then having some people be like, oh my God, this was the coolest thing ever. Tells you a lot about subjectivity, right? You think like, okay. And I'm a true believer, like grammar serves a purpose, and it conveys ideas clearly and stuff like that. But aside from those things that are objective, there's so much subjectivity, and even grammar is subjective in many ways. Like, that's the tiniest sliver of objectivity in this huge thing that is nothing but subjective experience for both us as writers and the reader as they absorb it.
Right.
And it's wild to experience that as an artist. And you're like, well, shit. I mean, always somebody's going to hate whatever you do, and somebody's going to love whatever you do if you find them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think one of the skills that I'm still trying, I feel like I'm lacking in, and that I'm trying to build is kind of the comedy factor. And I feel like I've really been growing in that in my most recent book, Golem Master, which both of you are in, by the way. But how do you feel when it comes to subjectivity? I feel like comedy is one of those things where it's like people either love it and laugh along with it, or they hate it and don't find it funny. How do you feel like you balance out the comedy factor approach and when you write?
I mean, I think there's a couple of styles of humor. Like I hate cringy situational humor, like that kind of shit in
Like The
sitcoms.
Office.
Just, oh my God, but there are moments of genius. So like, yeah, Seinfeld, The Office, things like that. I find little nuggets of holy crap, this is awesome. But in general, I'm not great with cringy humor.
Okay.
But the timing of a witty comeback or the insight of like a Carlin diatribe, like that makes a social statement and is funny. And then you're like, why the fuck did I laugh at that? Holy crap. This is terrible. I like that. I think in writing, it's harder to convey because you don't have as much control over timing. So you have to, like, you're tricking the reader to spend a little bit of time on the text between the delivery line and the punchline.
Right.
And that there's a trick to that I honestly have not figured out real well, but I'm pretty good at just shoving in a pun. Cool. I'm good with that. Like Aaron and I both love that. It's a well-trod tradition in lit RPG to get punny with shit.
To go to crowd.
So I do think though that having a setup and having a little bit of prose and then a punchline, especially if it's dialogue delivered by a second character, can be an absolute formula that rocks. But man, it's hard.
That's great advice. I love that. And I really see the whole speed, the whole setup of like, this is exactly how I want it. But if you don't read it this way, it's going to go right over your head.
Yeah. And the audio, your narrator like really has to like, that's why, I mean, I really want to start narrating my own books because I hear it. I hear the voices. I know, I hear the comedy. I hear the jokes. I hear the setup. Right. No, I just do what I think is funny. Right. And basically my co-author is going to take out the stuff that's not funny. or an editor is going to take out the stuff that's not funny. And then
jokes.
Or people are just like, or people are not going to laugh, but that's okay because, like, you know, I mean, if you get I think humor, if you get the character and the story right, I think people are going to give you a lot of leeway. I think that's the especially the character, right? If you have a funny character and you're like, oh my God, that guy's funny, then they give you a lot of leeway.
That's a great point. Like the character itself can be the setup for the joke, because either you set up the character's personality throughout the whole book, and then suddenly there's a situation where the reader is like, oh shit, what is that character going to do now?
Yeah.
That's awesome humor.
Yeah.
And it's a long payoff and a long setup, but man.
And I think it's hysterical because Kronk is our paladin. He's a troll. He's very handsome to trolls. High charisma among trolls, but he's super ugly.
He's ugly.
And he has wisdom, but no intelligence. So I love Kronk because Kronk's like, okay, I'll go walk into the trap and he'll be all mangled and he has troll regeneration. And he's like, where are the cookies? Like, I don't mind getting my head chopped off, but as long as I have cookie. And then at one point he'll like go off on this really insightful, like, actually, family is difficult because they've seen us at our best and our worst. We need to endeavor to like really understand and be tolerant of our family because in the end we're alone in an uncaring universe. And people are like, what? And there's cookies, and I like cookies.
Breaking character is powerful too. That's totally right.
No, it's fine. No, and it's in character because he's like D&D stats.
He's thinking
Wise and charismatic, not smart. Kronk is not smart.
It's funny though. Kronk gets some one-liners that are like, "Oh, this dumb sounding troll who speaks inelegantly is thinking behind those clunky words and weird lines."
TJ.
Yes.
I don't know if Ritchey Stevens is online, but I remember I was interviewed with Ritchey on Wednesday.
Okay.
And I went off on this long tangent about my DM, and he played this mage killing acrobat named Kara, and he played her with high wisdom, low intelligence. And so he would say, okay, this is my low intelligence. I'm doing something stupid because my character is stupid. And he would do something stupid. And we all be like, oh, Kara, no, what are you doing? Anyway.
Well, that's kind of funny because I've only done one D&D campaign session with a group of people, and then I had to give up after a couple months. But I was a Tiefling Druid Charlatan. And I went into the group I was with, they were very young. They were very, it was almost all of our first times playing D&D. But I had already been listening to Lit RPG. So I had all these ideas from all these stories.
Yeah.
So they would be like, oh, I don't know what we should do. And I was like, I'm just going to walk in and touch the statue. And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll touch that statue.
with your tongue, probably.
Yes. And I was like, I fondled it. And they're like, oh, that's so sexual. I'm like, no, it's not. You can fondle something without it being sexual. And so after a couple sessions, they were like, why do you keep going into situations like you have high charisma? I'm like, does it work? And they're like, because you get good rolls, but you don't have the charisma. I'm like, it still works, bitch. Don't tell me anything.
Half a charisma is attitude.
Yes. So literally my character's name was Bitch Be Gone. Oh, my mom's name was Men Are All Pigs. And dad's was Bitches Be Trippin'. And of course I had them all misspelled, but I had this whole thing and they're like, you are the most fucked up person that we have in our group. I'm like, yeah, but I get shit done. I save all your asses.
And you're playing characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This sounds like both D&D games and World of Warcraft pugs. I swear I've seen all of those character names in one group before.
Oh, probably.
Random dungeon run.
I'm not that creative. I just steal ideas from other things. So. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So now, Nathan, you were talking about this 9-to-5 job, and I'm also in a 9-to-5 job, so I completely understand. But you also have a family. You go on travel and stuff. For those who are like, oh, I can't find the time, how did you find the time to still pursue this passion of yours and also working with another author at the same time? So what's your advice to people that say, I just don't have the time?
I mean, you have to prioritize. Things are always going to come up that can eat your time. It just always does. And you eventually have to shove it aside. There are certain things that just fall by the wayside. So I have projects around the house that have gone undone for years. And it sucks because it kind of eats my background processing. Those things nag at me just enough. I call it cognitive overhead. It's just sitting there chewing away some processing power, which sucks. But sometimes you can shelve it. Mm-hmm. And learning to compartmentalize those things was really hard for me. But the better I get at compartmentalizing it, the better I get at maintaining focus. The other lesson that's really hard for me was that it doesn't take an hour and a half to get into the flow of creative writing. You have to learn to make that shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And you can trick your brain, right? So you can trick your brain through music. You can trick your brain through background, like movies. There are certain movies that I have always written to, and I turn them on, and suddenly my brain's like, oh, we're writing today. Yep. And that, flip it on low volume, off to the side, and your brain's like, oh, this is what we do all the time when we write, so therefore we're writing now. Yep. Do your best to use those tricks to teach your brain to get there faster, and then once you're there, you can use a 30-minute session or a 60-minute session, even if it's a 5:30 in the morning, just make use of it, right? Don't waste your time. And I spend a ton of time reading. for people who don't have enough time, like I feel like you should read if you want to write, just in general. But if you can do audiobooks to free up writing time, then do it. Like absolutely fucking do it. Also, audiobooks are their own art form, and hearing something narrated will change your view of your own prose. So take the audiobooks that you're listening to and then read your own work and learn where you've said the word said every stinking line, and you don't need to, because one, a narrator is going to fix it because they can use a voice, and two, your dialogue should be apparent who's speaking whenever possible, so you never have to tell the reader Gwen said blah. You can just say something snarky, borderline bitchy, and they'll know it's Gwen because that's who has that voice in your story.
Yeah.
So audio is super important. Learning to be concise in your writing and trick your brain into getting into writing mode so you can use shorter chunks of time.
I completely understand and relate to that, because what I have found is forcing me to be at a 9 to 5, I feel actually helps my creativity when I get back to the manuscript, because that's all my brain wants is like, oh, dude, let's get back. And the normal day-to-day interactions, there will be something that's said by a coworker or something that's done. I'm like, that is brilliant. And now I'm just going to bring it into the manuscript.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how, when you trick your brain, and I know that the whole movie thing, what is it? Lord of the Rings and the 7 armies, the 5 armies,
Battle of 5 Armies.
The Battle of 5 Armies. I've watched that movie about 5-6 times. That
So
definitely helps me
So
get into the writing process. So I completely understand. And exactly on the audiobooks. But what I found is there are some audiobooks where I feel like it influences me in a negative way. But there's definitely audiobooks where I'm like, that is beautiful. And all I want to do is have my skill set just like that.
Yeah, there's some danger in listening to things that will sway who you want to be as a writer, because they're so powerful, and that's tricky. It's hard to manage.
Yeah. So now, Aaron, coming over to you, because I think if I've seen some of your posts, you'll be in like a coffee shop writing. You'll be, over here writing over here. How have you developed your writing process, and what works really well for you?
I wrote like the first 20 books working a full day job, wife, kids, and my kids are like not like normal kids. My kids are like there was a mutant. I think Proteus was so powerful of a mutant, they had to keep him like he could destroy reality. I have kids like that. So I only have 2 daughters, but basically I have 10 kids. I would write in stolen moments. I would get up early. That means you have to go to bed early. I would do writing first thing. It's that whole rock thing. You put in if you have put rocks and sand and stuff, you put the big rocks in first, and then you drinkle the sand in. When I went full time, I had to my word count dipped, because I have I have all day, and so now you got to get the writing done right away.
Yep.
But I'm a coffee shop guy. So and because I worked from home. I had my day job was I did hospital software support. So my day job was at home, and so I had to get out of the house, and I would go to coffee shops and write. During COVID, I couldn't, so I'm a coffee shop writer. And actually, I love that in Dinneman's, in Dungeon Crawler Carl, there's a whole thing on being a coffee shop writer. But during COVID, I had to figure it out. So I have 2 monitors, and on one monitor I put for a while I was there's Kumiko in Tokyo studying, and in a Tokyo coffee shop, and I would have Kumiko, and that morphed into beach walks, which morphed into survival guys. There's Age of the North about this guy who goes and builds survival shelters, which morphed into video game, music videos.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love the which morphed into video game cutscenes. I can't tell you how many books I've written to Elder Scrolls, the Elder Scrolls cutscenes, which is just badass. And so, yeah, so I'm kind of a write at home guy now. But that's very new because I'm a coffee shop writer. But I used a lot of the same things. And, you know, at one point I had to write book 5 of the Juniper Wars series, and I wrote it in 500-word chunks. So every day, no matter what, I would write 500-word chunks. And some days, you know, I would just get the 500 words in, and other days I would get like, you know, 1,500, 2,000. But I got really good at like chapter building, because it's basically a 500-word opening. It's basically 1,000 words of action or dialogue or whatever else. And then it's a 500-word close. And I would do, so I might only get like a chapter every 4 days, but I was getting a chapter every 4 days. And at the end of X amount of time, I had a book. And I thought it'd be terrible, and it needed editing, but every book needs editing. And it turned out fine. So
it's sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
I was just going to say one more tip for people who find themselves just getting inspired at weird moments when you can't sit down and write, is to spin up a free Slack or Discord server or something so that you can ping yourself with messages and see like a history of your cool ideas. And then you can go back and search through them. So just send text or voice to text notes to yourself on Slack or Discord constantly.
That's a great idea. Can you Slack yourself?
Yes, you can.
I should know. Yeah,
I mean, I've done the Facebook message to myself or another account. I've done the notes on my phone. I've done the text messages. I've done the notebooks. Like, if this was my house, I'd probably have crayon words all over the place and sentences. So totally
whatever works for you, but finding a way to catch those little bitty thoughts before they escape and then know you can come back to them from somewhere is hugely valuable. So just figure out your own tactic for making sure you don't lose those ideas.
You can Slack yourself. I just Slacked myself on camera.
Yeah, and you can right click it and mark it as unread. So it gives you the red bubble. So you have to come back to it later.
I'm gonna Slack you too.
Mark is unread. I'm not saying I could say a joke, but I'm not gonna say a joke. Okay.
So what I really like though, Aaron, is kind of both of you guys. One of the things I learned when I was first starting out is being adaptable and knowing that, hey, when I was writing this book 3, it was this music, this da-da-da-da. But then when you get to book 4 or 5, you know what? This isn't working. I need to switch it up. And so just repositioning yourself, maybe doing something different. I have 3 monitors, but sometimes those can be distracting. Okay, if you're being distracted, what are you going to do about it to get yourself in the production mode?
Yeah, distractions are a constant changing ball game. I'm very kind of ADD, and different things will get me at different times. I'll go through phases where like, here's 2 things in one, right? One is to get a little more productive, try sprints, Pomodoro sprints or 20-minute word sprints. But I will get to the point where the sprints are bothering me more than they're helping me. And so I'll turn off sprints for a few months maybe. And then I'll come back to it and be like, oh, okay, I can sprint again. So learn your own rhythms and don't fight your instincts. Just roll with whatever your brain is telling you to do. Otherwise, you're just going to spend your, like, you can try to train yourself, but it's not going to be this dramatic shift in productivity because you suddenly put on the 5th element or whatever the hell. It takes time to make those things habits. So be patient with yourself, roll with your instincts, because a lot of times it's helpful. Yeah, For the Words is a great idea too.
I have never heard of that.
Is that game where you get points and you level up by the amount of words you write? Is that the thing?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You have a character and you write more words and you gain XP and you level up and you earn you kill monsters through how many words you type. Dude. And the bigger the monster, the more words it takes, and then you earn little gotcha, like gimme, wardrobes and accessories and little crap like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that. I mean, I kind of wish I had started back when I first started, because I am about 7,500 words away from my first million.
Nice. So, that's awesome.
Yeah. But I'm super excited. And I know when I talked about it last week, my mom messaged me and she's like, hey, so what are you going to do to celebrate your 1 million words? I'm like, keep writing to get to my 2 million words.
Dude,
like,
TJ, dude, you gotta I don't celebrate. Like, I finish a book and I'm like, okay, let me start the next one.
Yeah.
I need to sell it. We need to celebrate, man. I need to do something.
But I'm just like you. Like, I literally finished Golem Master 1. I took about 5 or 6 days off and I felt bad. And I was like, no, I have to keep writing. And so I literally just jumped right into book 2 because I couldn't be away from it.
But you have to celebrate. And yeah. I don't celebrate. My celebration is more work. Like,
I was about to say, the pot calling the kettle black.
I reward work with more work.
We try to make you celebrate if we run into you at the cons.
I am cigars.
Yes.
I am trying to go see. I'm a AMC. I don't want to brag.
Okay.
But I am an A-list Stubs member. So that means I get 3 movies a week for free. So I've been trying to use those. They
had good movies to go see.
Oh, dude, it's a movie, man. I will watch any movie anytime. I watch good movies. I watch bad movies. I watch love movies. I watch hate movies. I'm a movie guy. Like, I have a high tolerance for very bad movies.
I'm a little jealous of you, but
I cried at Madam Web. Like, unironically, in the 3rd act. I'm like, this movie, found family. I'm feeling it.
You know what? I'm crying for you because you literally watched Madam Web. I was like, I saw the preview.
Terrible.
Like, there's no way you're gonna get me to watch it.
It was terrible, but they did found family really well. And so in the 3rd act, when it, they're the found family is fighting the bad guy, and there's stakes, and I feel it. It was effective. It was a terrible movie, not as bad as Morbius. Morbius, I couldn't finish it. I
actually liked Morbius. I was like, enjoyable to me.
I couldn't finish it. I did not care. Like, I did not care.
Oh, actually, okay. So here's a movie. If you like more of the darker gritty, have you watched Nefarious yet?
Oh, what's that?
So Nefarious took a lot of inspiration off of C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters.
Oh.
And it's literally all dialogue and all acting. It's basically one scene for the majority of the movie.
Oh.
Dude,
that looks awesome.
It was really good. And it was definitely that thriller, suspense, creepy, eerie, tingling on the back of your neck. Like, oof, whoo-hoo. Yeah.
I just watched Glorious.
Okay.
It's about a glory hole. And like eldritch gods and Cthulhu. It's terrible. but also awesome. But terrible. Dude, so most of the time I watch a movie and I'm like, I had a good time. Every once in a while I watch a movie and I'm like, man, I could have done it better. I just could have done it better. Like, the setup was so good, but like they botched the ending. Like It Follows. It Follows had the best half. The first half was probably one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. The first half was flawless. And then it didn't know what to do with itself. And I'm like, no, dude, you could have done this, this, and this.
Well, that was what was
I'm trying to reward, but all I have to say is I'm trying to reward myself and my work by going to see like a triple feature.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way where I'm just like, how am I going to reward myself? I'm just going to keep working. And what's interesting is I was watching an Instagram reel where, this one guy talked about stress. And he's like, how they're currently trying to study it because there's some people that are like, if you tell them stress is bad, they have negative effects physiologically. Whereas there's other people where they're like, if you tell them that stress is good because they're being productive, they truly use it as a fuel and they don't get the negative physiological effects. They just continue to get kind of the dopamine of this is a good reaction. And so I was like, you know what? That's probably me because I have literally been in stress environments for like 20 years of my life. So I don't know what this whole like, hey, you should just chill out and relax. Like, no, make it hurt more. Put taser prongs on me. Oh God, yeah.
Me and James talked about I'm the Cenobite of like writers. It's like the pain makes me write the words.
Yes.
I will the torture makes me write the words, and the words are torture, and it's a vicious circle as my flesh is rent and my soul is destroyed. Yeah.
That's awesome. But yes,
Like-
we will have to do cigars at least at the next con. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dragon Con?
I am
Everybody?
not going to Dragon
Oh,
Con. I am
sucker.
going to Jordan Con 2025. That is at least
Cool.
the con
Okay.
I am going to.
And I'm going to try to make that one. So.
And I think there's maybe a con coming together in Denver next year.
I heard that. Yeah, Lit RPG Con.
A Lit RPG
Lit
one?
RPG Con.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Who's putting it on? Do we know?
Right, that escalated quickly. We like
Some
the
folks
pain.
I think some folks from Legion are involved, and I'm sure they've roped in a whole bunch of other people.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
They're working it. They're building it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
I'll
hope
definitely go to that one.
Hope it becomes official. Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm. So, okay, you guys. So we're kind of wrapping it up. If there's anything else you want to talk about, let me know. I want to make sure I give you guys time to really promote this awesome book that you guys have that people really need to go check out. Audit Team 6.
No, man, all good. I think I don't know. I hope it finds its niche because Audit Team 6 is like it runs this into this cutesy little space between Dungeon Core and like epic lit RPG that is a little bit cozy. It's a little bit Dungeon Core. It's unusual characters that all have cool voices, and it's got some humor in it that I think is a lot of fun. So we'll see. Hopefully people will give it a shot.
Hey, dude, TJ, am I doing the song? I shouldn't do the
Oh,
song.
dude.
But I will
Yes.
do the song.
No, we need to.
Are we
need
doing
to.
the song?
Do the song.
Yes, you have
Nathan,
to.
are we doing the song?
I mean, I can blame you, right? So I'm good.
Oh, is this a duet? That would be amazing to hear Nathan do a duet.
We'll work on it at Dragon Con.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever played this song. I wrote it today. Okay. So is it how does the sound? Is the sound good?
It's a little quiet, but you can hear it.
Maybe if I close the if I close the door. This is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea.
That means it's the best idea then.
I do not. Okay, you ready? Are you gonna put up the lyrics? Because I think you guys are not gonna be able to. I emailed you the lyrics.
Oh, you did? Oh,
did.
I don't have
I'm
have
sure you
notifications on. So stand by.
I'm sure you can sing them perfectly clearly.
No,
Oh.
I'm playing the guitar. I've been playing the guitar for 6 months. This is
You're doing
like-
great, dude.
like
I'm excited that you're
it-
playing guitar.
this has been a lifelong dream, and so
Oh my god.
oh no, I'm getting an optical migraine. Okay, are we ready? Okay,
I'm
Okay.
sure we're not ready.
and I'm like, and it's gonna take me a while to strip chords.
TJ, your show just got half an hour longer.
Okay, you ready? All right. Okay. Going to a dungeon, gonna do some good. Going to a dungeon. Going to fight a topia, going to fight a topia, gonna save some dogs. Going to fight a topia. World has a dungeon, keeping it alive. World has a dungeon. Otis is the dungeon, keeping the world Otis is the dungeon, keeping the world alive. Otis is a dungeon. Auditing, auditing, dungeoning, auditing. Otis is a stink slime and he's really stinky. Otis is a sting slime. Gonna help that Otis keep his world alive. Gonna help that Otis. Wicked traps and minions gonna do some good. Wicked traps and minions. Happy battle goat, gonna eat some trash. Gotta bring my battle goat. Auditing, dungeoning, auditing. Kronk loves the cookies like he likes the spring traps. Kronk is a handsome troll. Rogue engineer, she's a thief named Gwen. Gwen is an engineer. Helga makes it pretty, she's our decorator. Helga loves to rage and rage. Cal is the leader, he's the main accountant. Cal is the leader guy. Auditing, dungeoning, auditing. Powerful Apothos keeps the worlds alive. Tree of Souls needs some help. Gotta cultivate, gotta be my best. Gotta really cultivate. Audit Team 6 gonna save the dogs. Audit Team 6 auditing a dungeon gonna do some good. Auditing a dungeon. Auditing, dungeoning, auditing. Epic. Thank you.
Epic.
Thank you. Good night.
Oh my God.
You heard it first here, folks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm both ashamed and humiliated and overwhelmed by my own artistic genius.
You're amazing.
I've been wondering when the day was going to be that I would spit out my drink from laughing so hard on author chat. And it was literally when Nathan said we just added 30 minutes and I literally spit energy drink all over my monitor.
Yeah, it's my classic rock, like my rock opera. So basically, Dungeon Accountant is basically that song in like 100,000 words. So
I love it.
Oh my God. That's
and you managed to write it
hilarious.
with very few spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, no, that was amazing, dude.
Nice. Okay, that's our duet on stage at Dragon Con.
Yeah, we need to do that. I need to actually put that song into Golem Master 2 when you got your characters come up and you guys have a bookshop and Nathan is the accountant of the bookshop. And Aaron, do you remember the Facebook post that I had where it's like you were in a dark alleyway, like, hey kid, you want some grimdark books?
Yeah,
basically the whole scene. I just took that. I was like, this is perfect.
Hey,
so now you guys are gonna have an open mic night, and Aaron's gonna get up and just sing this song.
Damn right.
That would be perfect.
Ballad of the Dungeon Accountant.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh,
okay.
I love it.
So,
all right,
guys. Well, I think we can't do any better than that to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, you guys, for coming and hanging. Oh, Nathan.
We do have audio coming too, so we will put that song at the end of the audio book.
Yes.
James and Jeanette are not gonna, dude. I think
tell them.
Jeanette is like, I felt a disturbance in the force. 1,000 souls crying out. Yeah, no.
All right.
No.
Sorry,
you know what? People would buy the audiobook just to get that.
And then return it.
A special note from Aaron Michael Ritchey.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, that is super funny. Oh my God.
I will play a recorder solo over that.
All right, guys. Oh my God.
Well, Aaron, Nathan, thank you so much for coming and hanging out on Author Chat. You guys are welcome anytime. So thanks a lot. I really.
All right, thank you, TJ. That was super fun.
All
Thanks,
right, we'll
everybody.
see you.
All right, bye.
Yeah, I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me, you ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes, call me aggressive with my flow, call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love, still gonna die for what I love, still gonna try, I won't give up, still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let